Hello, I'm Christine Lampard and welcome to Not Just Football, part of the Overlap Network. As always, Kelly Cates and Hayley McQueen join us today, and I really can't quite believe I'm about to say her name. Lorraine Kelly, CBE. She's in the studio, not in her studio, in this studio, and I get to ask her questions. This never happens.
It never happens.
You've been there and you've done it all. And I know it all started in your local newspaper. Let's go back to the very beginning.
Coming from Glasgow, you very carefully and sensibly ducked the whole Celtic Rangers thing.
I did.
And you've gone for Dundee United
I've gone for
instead.
Dundee United.
What was the Piers Morgan phrase?
He said I was an iron fist and a velvet glove, and I don't mind that perception is cosy. I don't mind being underestimated.
Yeah.
I think it's a superpower. But I thought they'll be so annoyed. They'll eventually give me a job just to shut me up. In my phone, I've got a picture of me and David Attenborough. Oh. So I went to the guy. That's my best friend.
I'm trying to email him.
My best friend.
Lorraine Kelly, this is really weird.
It's really weird.
Really, really weird.
Feels
it's like I can't look at you. Because you know the biggest question I ever get asked is, what's it like to work with Lorraine?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, no, she's brilliant, but I don't see her enough. That's the thing.
No, we don't. It's
That's
mad,
the problem.
isn't it? Yeah. Because I think everybody thinks that we all see one another.
Yes.
You know, we live in each other's houses and we all see each other all the time. I wish. I mean, honestly, the only time I see you is like when we're walking past, if you're journalist women,
right.
The only time I see Ben Shepherd is when we're doing like a handover in the morning.
That's
when I say to Ben and Kat, what's coming up next? I mean, I'd love to live in the same house as Ben Shepherd. Great, wouldn't it?
You did get the Ben Shepherd blanket that time, wasn't
I
it?
do. We all have a Ben Shepherd blanket,
yes,
which with his face emblazoned upon.
Oh, wow.
And we made it. It was in Coronation Street. Mary in Coronation Street, who I love.
Right.
Mary
That's
she's obsessed with Ben. I think she's obsessed in real life, not just the character. And she's got her Ben Shepherd blanket. I think she's got a mug and a pillow as well.
I think she maybe does.
Which is good.
The joy of daytime television.
Lovely.
So,
Yes.
And daytime, like Lorraine, you've run the airwaves for daytime, but you really have. And I know you're far too humble, and everyone has to say things on your behalf. But it is true because you've been doing it now for such a long time. I remember being at home and watching you on the telly, like TVAM days.
Yeah. Yes, there's been a lot of regime changes.
Well, there has.
A lot of regime changes.
But that morning stint has always been owned by you, because you've been there and you've done it all. And I know it all started in your local newspaper. Let's go back to the very beginning.
That's
because
right.
Before the television thing.
Yeah, I was supposed to go to uni.
Journalist.
I wanted to be a fighter pilot.
Okay, yes.
I wanted to be an astronaut.
And an astronaut, I was going to say, you forgot
obviously,
that.
of course, I wanted to be an astronaut, as does everybody. And then I wanted to be a fighter pilot, and that didn't go down well with the careers officer going, what? Because it was like 1970s, and girls didn't do that. And now we've got girls in the Red Arrows, so it's yay, fantastic.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I was supposed to go to uni, and I didn't, much to my mum and dad's disgust, although they didn't say anything at the time. And I just went into local newspapers because my mum and dad wanted the photo. You know, the photo?
Yeah, the
on
graduation
shelf.
one. Yeah.
Get that, and the wee hat and the wee scroll. But my brother, who's a genius, the golden child, got it all so fine. The golden child, you know, every time my mum says his name, you hear angels sing.
Yes. Lampard eye emojis.
Oh
yes,
gosh, he's lovely. But yes, so I just went to the local newspaper, which was a great way. You know, a great way to get, because you do everything.
Yeah, and learning your craft, isn't it? It's like
it's like going to university to be a journalist.
Absolutely,
really, you get to do everything you want, and you can throw yourself into it, and it was great fun. And then I got a huge pile of rejection letters because I applied for every job at the BBC in Scotland, even farming correspondent, which was mad. But I thought they'll be so annoyed that they'll, so fed up with me, they'll eventually give me a job just to shut me up and say, away you go. So I'd say to anybody, just keep going. Don't be put off by rejection letters. I mean, Piers Morgan was talking about that, wasn't he? He was talking about the fact that he got a rejection letter from the Daily Mirror and then he ended up being the editor.
Yeah,
so stay with it.
Absolutely, when you know that it's what you want. Because it was BBC Scotland then, though, wasn't it?
Yes.
That was the first sort of TV
That was.
job.
I was a researcher there, and I thought they used to always send me out to do Vox Pops.
Yeah.
Because I would, I could
those
remember
days.
those,
Yeah.
the wee bit at the end, you'd always ask people. And I honestly thought I was going to get a job as a reporter, which is all I wanted to do. I just wanted to be a reporter. And that was when I got told that, no, I would never, ever make it.
And that was to do with possibly because you're a woman, and secondly, your accent.
Mainly my accent. He said,
And the
nobody
accent
on
was-
television speaks like you, which is a fair comment, because they didn't at that time. But now, of course, we've got accents. I mean, Me and you.
Yeah,
all
but
of us.
even-
We've all,
I remember coming to
I don't know where
London
mine's
and
from.
having
It's a mess.
It's lovely.
Anyway,
No, it's
there we
gorgeous.
go.
It's a really nice accent. But you wouldn't have had, Ant and Dec, for example.
Absolutely.
Two of the best presenters that we've ever had. But back then, it just was a no-go.
But surely in Scotland as a reporter, as a Scot with a Scottish accent.
It was because it was a working class Glasgow accent, though, and still is. It's probably softened a bit because I've been down south quite a lot, and then in Dundee, so it's probably like yourself, a wee bit of a hybrid kind of thing going on, I guess. But funnily enough, it's one of those sliding door things, because I would never have had the gumption to call up the boss of TVAM and say, "Gives a job."
Yeah,
of course.
I couldn't do that now. So I don't know if you guys could.
So you just called up. You just called.
I knew there was going to be a job because one of the guys, because it was TVM. See, breakfast telly was quite glamorous back then.
Of course
it was new and it was and it was exciting. It
was proper
It's still glamorous now. It's just that you're used to it. That's
no, it should have been. But I ended up just phoned up and said, look, I think in a couple of weeks you'll be looking for a reporter. I would love to do the job. And the boss, who was Australian, said, okay, come down. And luckily, just luck, I got my chance.
Incredible.
And did everything. I was saying, back then nobody did sport. I would do sport. I would do politics. It was only me, covering the whole country, which was scary when I think about it now. See when you're young and naive and you don't know anything, isn't it great?
It's beautiful.
Because you don't sort of go, oh no, you don't catastrophize.
That's it.
And you don't think, oh, I can't possibly do that. You just think, yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of times you had to do
what
it.
you don't know as well.
Exactly. That's it, Kelly. You don't know what you don't know, and that's quite a good thing.
Yeah,
I think.
And there wasn't the time to overthink it, particularly doing live morning television.
And there was
stories would break when you were on air, and you had to roll with it.
Yeah. And we didn't have the internet back then, or we didn't even have. We did have a mobile phone in the second year that I was a correspondent, but it lived in the car. It was one of those. I don't know if you probably don't remember them, but they were massive. The guy that used to wander around with the big thing going, I'm on the
Jolly.
Tom Jolly was like that. It was huge, and it was crazy, and you couldn't phone
in the library. That was his line.
So it was crazy. Yeah. It was crazy. We didn't have 24-hour news. We didn't have anything, at all. We didn't have Sky. We didn't have all these things. The breaking news story, once the news went off at 10 o'clock at night, you'd be the first ones in the morning to say anything, whatever it was. And I was quite happy being a correspondent. I had no thought about sitting on a pink sofa with big hair and extremely loud clothes on. Back then it was eternal summer, we were told.
It was the blazers. It was always the blazers, wasn't it?
The dog tooth.
Oh my God, yes, and the massive earrings. I mean, like stupid dinner plate earrings. But the hair, I mean, if a light from up there fell on your head, it would just bounce off. You had so much hairspray. There'd be a hole in the ozone laying above your head. It was awful.
But it was like, I remember that it was just, that appointment of you telly in the morning. The
It's
TV went on.
guess.
It was absolutely, and because you could laugh one minute and then there could be a really, emotional, serious story the next, and that was the beauty of it. And that's kind of continued now, almost really.
The job's kind of the same, even after 40 years. It's kind of the same. The technology has got amazing. I mean, the fact that we can, especially during COVID, because we were very lucky that we were still on air, as you know, Christine, we were still on air every day. It was much reduced, but it meant that you could think outside the box. So, I would come in one morning and go, what's happening in the Falklands? What's happening in the International Space Station? And because the tech is so good now, you could do that. You could just go, let's phone up, let's find out. Hey, let's do it. And it's amazing that we can do that now, because before it was to get just even a link down the road was a nightmare. And now we've got this incredible technology and this amazing way that obviously in the past audiences could just phone and leave a message, but now it's all interactive. I love all that. I think we should embrace it. It's wonderful.
I think what's really interesting in terms of what you've covered across your career is that at this age, when you say you're sitting on the pink sofa and it all seems very nice and it's all very sort of not cozy is the wrong word, but it is. It has that perception. I think
of course.
But that there is this real journalistic core at the heart of you, which I think is really interesting.
I think you've got to have that.
What was the Piers Morgan phrase about you being...
he said I was an iron fist and a velvet glove, which I love that, because I'm not... we do ask, as Christine knows, we do ask all of the questions, and we have difficult interviews, and I don't mind that perception is cosy. I don't mind being underestimated.
Yeah.
I think it's a superpower, because people are completely on the back foot. But, most of the time my job is just making people comfortable. I just want them to go away feeling that they've done themselves proud. Or you know, we had the Vivian sister in the other day, and obviously she's campaigning because Vivian sadly died of a ketamine overdose, and she's campaigning, and it was very, very important to her to come in, you know, even though she's grieving, to come in and get that message across. And for me, my job was to make sure that she went home doing the best that she could, you know, feeling, I've done my brother proud. I've done James proud, because she was James to her. Vivian to us all, but James to her, of course. And that's the most important thing, to make people feel comfortable. But at the same time, especially if you're a politician or somebody who needs to be held to account, you've got to do that as well.
Yeah. And it's a real talent to have both, you know, to have the empathy, but then also to be a true journalist at heart. What are some of the toughest stories that you've covered?
I think, to be honest, as far as hard was, Lockerbie was very hard. Dunblane was unbelievably hard. I think it would have been anyway, but I think the fact that my daughter was so young, you know, she was only 2, I think that kind of really, you know, because I think when I became a mum, I became an awful lot better at my job. You know, you talked there about empathy. I don't know that I had as much of that before I had her. It just gives you a different outlook on life. I'm not saying that if you don't have kids that you don't have empathy. I don't mean that at all. But certainly for me, it really made me an awful lot better at the particular job that I do. And obviously, you know, horrible terrorist stories, things breaking when you're on air are very difficult, but you've just got to go with it. And in many ways, those stories are almost the easiest stories to cover, because it's what's happening. That's it. Yeah. You know, and then you can talk about where do we go with this, you know, but really that's it. The most difficult interviews are somebody who's 16 and who's just got a job in Emmerdale and has never done an interview before, and they are green with nerves. They're not, you know, they are like, oh, like this, I get a live telling, and then you've got to kind of somehow make them feel relaxed, you know. They always give us the baby story.
They do. I've had a few. I know exactly what you're talking about without naming names. Yeah, and you're like,
in football, they're always like, oh, the big games and the pressure that's on you, and they're never the difficult games to cover, because you know what the story is, because 100%. You go straight for it.
100%.
It's the 0-0 mid-table, nothing's happened. You sit and you think, I've got an hour and a half to fill out. I don't have an hour. The pundits have got an hour and a half to fill after this. I'm like, over to you. Yeah.
And I watched the documentary that you did recently as well, and it was just absolutely heartbreaking. And you were the first on your scene, and your husband, who was the cameraman, obviously. Right. I mean, really, you talk about almost like a PTSD off the back of it.
It was weird
in terms of just...
when I did the documentary, they said you must have PTSD, and I still don't think so. Yeah. Because I don't. It's that thing of I'm not entitled to have PTSD because I was only reporting on it. Yes, of course, I saw things that were horrific, but I was doing my job. And in many ways, I disassociated myself from it. Now and again, it would come back. Like, funnily enough, if you were watching like a movie and there might be a plane crash, or especially when you land on a small airport like one of the islands, or if you land in Orkney, sometimes you get that smell of aviation fuel. Yeah. And you'd be right back. You know, it's really strange. But I certainly don't think that I had PTSD. I just think like any human being that would cover something like that. But the reason I wanted to do that was really to put into context what people in Lockerbie went through. Yeah. Because it still is the worst terrorist atrocity that's happened in Europe, never mind the UK. So it was really, really important to because I think people had forgotten what they went through, and the amazing acts of kindness that happened, and how those bonds between, you know, people that had lost the most tragic of circumstances. It's so interesting how people are so resilient, I know. You know.
But it's so important to remind people too, though, you know, and for the people that are left behind in a place, I think it's
terrible. Yeah. We've still not really got an outcome. I mean, I know there's going to be a court case probably later this year. It's going on, as you can imagine. I think all this time later that people still don't have answers, and that's not fair.
Just again, the nature of everything that you've done, you know, to be the first on a scene like that. And then to, like you said, say, I know, and that's very, very far on one end of the spectrum. But then,
and then talking to the second man on the moon.
You've got well, this is it, and your passion for space and astronauts. Like she's a proper.
Did you watch everything
space.
the other day when they were landing on the? It was incredible.
And the dolphins.
Yes.
Oh, Kelly, the dolphins.
Yes.
I couldn't believe it. I was beside myself. And the annoying thing was I was watching it by myself, so I had no one to go, the dolphins.
I was in a hotel room on my own,
gosh.
watching it, and I was like waiting for it to happen. It just, for a while, they were just floating, and people were just giving you. And then suddenly I was like, they're going to land. They're going to land.
I
It was
know, and would they be
incredible.
okay? And would they be all right? Because I remember watching the moon landing with my dad.
Wow.
And that's why I think when I was sitting there, and there was Buzz Aldrin sitting beside me, and I kept looking at his feet, thinking, your feet have been on the moon. It was a terrible interview, because I just was going, you've been on the moon. Oh my God. You know,
Staring at his feet.
It won't have been, and you will have felt like you weren't supposed to. But that
I was so excited.
But other people wouldn't have looked at that in the way that you did and thought, oh my God, those feet have walked on the moon. That attention to detail is like,
just what a joy. How lucky to be able to do all these amazing things. And then when I was 60, gosh, 5 years ago, but when I was 60, my team for my birthday sent me to do one of the zero gravity flights. That was it for me. That was just, honestly, I was like a toddler. I was so excited. It's the best thing.
Best thing in the world.
Then I went and did astronaut training, and they gave me the suit, you know, the blue suit and my name on it, and I wouldn't take it off. I kept it on all night. My husband said, for Christ's sakes, will you take that bloody thing off? And I was like, no. And then we went downstairs for dinner, and I kept it on. And this wee wifey said, this wee woman went, are you an astronaut? Because obviously the astronauts stay in that hotel, and I was like, yeah. I am, actually. And my husband's like, she's not. Don't encourage her. She's really not. She's just being silly.
You don't half look like that, Lorraine Kelly.
But also on the show, like, incredibly important campaigns over the
that's
years.
really,
you know, the
that's
Change
great.
and Check campaign has been a hugely successful campaign, started by Lorraine and Helen Addis as one of our editors.
She's incredible, isn't she?
And that's a few years ago now, wasn't it? She was diagnosed with breast cancer. Must be about 5 years.
We've done so many things. We went up to the top of the O2 and turned it into a boob.
Yes,
do you remember a giant
that's
boob?
right.
We put a thing over it so that the nipple was. I think I was sitting on the nipple.
Yes,
which was fabulous.
Right.
And then we sang. Well, when I say sang, we warbled. I warbled, but Marty Pellow, thank God, took us to number one. And we went. We were on the Royal Variety Show.
Wow.
I'm seeing it today, and I don't quite believe it. It was just bonkers, but absolutely brilliant, because the choir's made up of all the women that watched the show and they're okay.
They checked themselves and then discovered and got their.
Thank God Helen and her campaign has saved lives. Isn't that amazing?
And the power of the show, and the Dr. Hilary and Dr. Amir, who are very good friends of Lorraine's, and things that have been done on the show that just weren't really done anywhere else. You know, whether it was checks on various body parts and trying to.
We've had testicles looked at, which is
nothing.
Goes not really. Not that savoury to be honest.
Only for medical reasons.
Only for medical reasons. Last chicken in Sainsbury's, you're like, oh no, I don't need to see that. But it was all educational.
Absolutely, and it saves lives. Like it's saving lives.
Like you said, it's the power of the show, and I don't think people realise the reach of Lorraine.
No, I guess. I mean, we kind of, I'm not very good at tooting my own horn, and we kind of just get on with it, and we don't bother anybody, and we just get on with it. You know, we just come in and we do the show, and then we toddle off, and it's absolutely fine. But yeah, we're lucky in that we've got that platform to do these things, and I do think that about daytime generally, that we were sort of allowed to break taboos a lot. You know, you could talk about AIDS. I mean, now it seems like crazy that we couldn't. Yeah. But goodness me, when I started on TVAM, you couldn't even say the word cancer. Honestly, it's mad when you think about it.
Never mind menopause.
Never mind, menopause.
God.
I couldn't get anybody to talk about menopause. In the end, this is ages, about 10 years ago, Dr. Hilary ended up interviewing me. We just swapped seats because back then it was such a taboo that women in the public eye particularly didn't want to talk about it because they felt it made them seem old and they didn't want to have that stigma. which is crazy.
Yeah.
You think now, you know, Kirsty Warwick's done brilliant, Davina's done amazing work on that. Absolutely fantastic, really good, and changed attitudes.
Yeah.
And that's brilliant.
That idea of aging is a really interesting one. I was with a friend of mine last night who won an award, and in her speech she said she was told when she was younger, when she was starting out in her 20s, never admit to getting older than 30 as a woman on air. And I was like,
How mad! Isn't that
we
nuts?
have to start counting backwards every 5 years, every time.
But how lovely, she stood and said, as a woman, I stood here on my 45th birthday.
Yeah.
She's a baby.
I'm Amanda Davidson.
That is so
wonderful.
good. And isn't it nuts? Isn't it nuts that you would even think that? That's the one thing about daytime, though, is I think people like familiarity. So, you know, I mean, I'm 65 now, which is astonishing. I say it to you, and I can't believe that I've reached that great age. Because when I was a kid, that would have been like, you'd had a wee grey perm, and you know, they big coats with one button, a wee tartan trolley, you know, for your shopping.
And but I'm cleaning your step every morning.
You know, you'd be like that. But now it's not. You know, you look at women in their 70s, 80s, 90s. My mum, you know, she's in her 80s, so it's brilliant. And it's incredible how that has changed. That whole thing has changed. And we're not, I mean, I've certainly never been under any pressure to change how I look, because I've never hired for how I was looking. But I just think I'm always, I think if you want to do plastic surgery, that's grand. Make sure you go to somebody good.
Yeah.
Make sure you go to somebody good, that's great. Not for me, I'd be too scared. I've interviewed too many women over the years who are like, whoa, that it's all gone awry. And I think I just would, nah, I'm fine.
As a grandma now, though, there's obviously a different
Listen,
role.
how long have we been talking and we haven't even mentioned Billy? It's usually about 1 minute, 2 seconds.
It is. Lovely,
outrageous.
gorgeous Billy.
You've obviously got this lovely little granddaughter that you're spending a lot of time with.
Yeah.
Is she keeping you sort of young?
Yes, 100%, and my team as well, because they're all very young. They keep me in touch with like music, and so does my daughter, and popular culture and things like that. But then I'm very, I say curious, most people say nosy. I am just like a sponge. I just absorb everything. That's why I love doing what I do, because you learn so much about so many things, which is fantastic. But oh no, Billy is great. I mean, I'm just loving it. I know she's only 7 months, but I read to her every night when I'm there. I mean, I'm not there every night. I would be, to be fair. I would be there all the time.
You might be soon, mightn't you?
I would love it. If we end up living close to each other, I would be so happy. We're not that far away. I mean, do you know what I think is really sad, though? It makes me think of grandparents that maybe live in like Australia or New Zealand.
Absolutely.
Can you imagine? I mean, I know we've got, you know, we've got like FaceTime and all the rest of it and WhatsApp videos. But you can't smell them on a video.
No.
You can't hold them on a video, and you can't go, oh, because she's right now. Looks like she's got elastic bands all the way down her arms and her wee legs.
Love
She's all.
that. Oh, it's the best. She
Love
has.
it.
She's been the most beautiful little
Oh,
addition, hasn't she?
honestly, I could go on and on and on, and I would, but I can't.
I know.
I must not. Keep
But
going on and on.
because I think that you've taken her to the football. Now, actually, coming
Yes,
from
I
Glasgow,
have,
you very carefully and sensibly
Yes,
ducked the whole Celtic Rangers thing.
I did.
And you've gone for Dundee United
I've gone with
instead.
Dundee United.
Yeah.
My daddy used to take me to Rangers, though.
Right,
He
okay.
did,
Yeah.
up until I got, I don't know, up until probably about 8 or 9. And then Steve, my lovely husband, gosh, it took me a whole year to get him. Because he was our cameraman, and he it took me a long time. Anyway, I didn't get him playing cool.
How did you?
I got him very drunk on tequila.
Yeah.
She wore astronaut costume.
Took off the helmet.
One small step for you.
Honestly, really drunk on tequila slammers.
Yeah.
When we were
that's the best
Glasgow,
way.
when we were working, and then I just pounced on him like a ninja. I mean, there was no way that he could resist. So our first day, it was Dundee United against Hearts, and that was back when we had a team. You know, it was Nady, Hegarty, Paul Sturrock, it was all of these, Eamon Bannon, all these amazing. I mean, what a team that was, jeez. So I loved it from then on. I've been going, and we have had some ups and downs.
Yeah.
But yeah, we took Billy last November, and we won 3-0 against Ross County, so that was great. And she had a wee Dundee United strip on. It was brilliant. It was Steve. I thought my husband was going to, like, explode with joy. He was so happy.
You've got to get in early with them as well, though, before other people start to corrupt them and give them other teams to follow.
Our daddy's Manchester United.
Right.
So
okay.
It's okay. She can do that.
You could have a Scottish and an
She can
English team. That's not too bad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but Dundee United will be their team.
Yes.
Obviously.
But it will be a Scotland kit, I'm guessing, right?
She's already got a
Good.
Scotland rugby one, and we've
Okay.
ordered her a Scotland trip as well.
I took my daughter to Wembley, didn't I, when the Women's Euros was on.
Oh, wow.
And of course, I wasn't able to take her anywhere when she was very wee because it was locked down and she was in and out of COVID. So she was 2.5, I think, when I took her, and I put her in. It was an England shirt I was given that I was never going to wear, but it was Lionesses, so it's fine.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So I put her in that and got a shoelace and tied it. I made a little dress. And I remember my dad, obviously, he had dementia, but still knew who she was right until the end. And he went, oh my God, it's just as if I was going to give him a heart attack. He's like, if the dementia's not going to get me, that is. What are you doing to that child? Still has a sense of humour. I was like, it's fine. She's got a Scotland kit as well. We got her a dress to balance. She was born in England, but she can make her choice. But she can have both. He's like, well, she can't, but don't show me that again. Don't show me that again.
I know, it is difficult. When Scotland are playing England, that's when it'll be.
That's when it'll
be difficult.
That is the big moment.
She'll be scoring Scotland, I'm sure.
Alongside all those passions, we all know you love to write, Lorraine.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to be able to do that.
Exactly, and the Island Swimmer, it's out in paperback now, though, isn't it?
It is. It's still, see, you're holding that there. You're holding the book. I still
Can you believe it?
Get my head around it. And I actually saw somebody reading it in the airport.
Did you?
And I
Did you
really
go say
wanted
hello?
to go up, but I thought I can't. That's too much. The poor woman, she doesn't need to do that. But I really did want to come and go, hey, me, I did that. But it was a labour of love, and it was hard. It's the hardest thing I've ever done, but I really loved it.
And I think it's something you're incredibly proud of being able to have done it as well, because you wanted it so much.
Wonderful, and it's obviously set in Orkney, which I love Orkney.
Yeah.
And we launched it up there, which was great. It was such good fun. But yeah, it's quite hard. I mean, I liked the whole process of writing, and I really enjoyed the editing process. Trouble was, I was away. My husband likes camping, but with a difference. He hires a Jeep in Africa, and we sleep on the top of the Jeep in a tent, and we just tootle about. So I'm in the middle of this, trying to get emails and not doing very well, and trying to edit my book. And I went to the only place you can get proper signal is at the anti-poaching station. So I went to the anti-poaching station and I said, is there any way I can just borrow, just for a minute, just to send this email? It's quite important. No. So do you know what I did? Do you know this?
I don't think I do know this.
But I've never done this in my life. In my phone, I've got a picture of me and David Attenborough. Oh. So I went to the guy, that's my best friend.
I'm trying to email him.
My best friend. And of course, he is God in Africa. He is more than God. All the anti-poaching people and all the guides. He's just that. The guy, I was suddenly the Queen Mother. Oh my God! Gee, do sit down. What can I do for you? And I was like, well, thank you, David Attenborough.
Oh my
Because I'd never have
word.
got that. I mean, of course it would have been fine, but it just meant that I was ahead of myself when I got back from the
Yes.
holidays, you know. My husband's all saying, one day we'll go away and you won't be doing something. You'll actually be sitting there, you know, and it'll be fine. But it was magical. A bit weird editing a book about Orkney, looking at elephants and hippos in Zambezi. That was a bit mad, but great fun.
And it's something you would do again, isn't it?
Oh, we're
I mean, you
definitely. We've done it quite a few times now, and we'll definitely do it again. It's a real adventure, and you don't have to wear makeup. And you can wear the same T-shirt for like a week. Yeah. Because nobody cares about him. They don't care.
You are going to
Elephants
travel.
don't care.
No, but you love your penguins, that's as well, you see. So she loves, you do
obsessed.
love your really kind of
Tons
out
of wee
there top
penguins
holidays.
are bobbing about in Antarctica called Billy. I just got her loads of wee penguins. Do you know how you don't know what to get a kid? And you know what? Christmas, sometimes men especially are really hard to buy presents for. I just buy them all penguins. I mean, they don't actually get the penguin, but they get a certificate. And the penguin's named after them, and then the penguins are happy. Bounces out.
That's a good present, isn't it?
Love that. Do you know, I'm looking at the book there when you were talking about physically holding the book, especially working in live television.
Yes.
All of your career, to have something, have something solid that is
Absolutely.
permanent must be amazing.
That's the thing. I think that's That's the thing that really sticks with you because it's there. You can hold on to it because you know what we do. It just goes, boo. You know, you're doing all the football and it's over and it's gone. And I know some people would, you know, maybe record it, but really it's away.
Yeah.
As soon as you're saying the words, it's away. You go. So yeah, to have some tangible is fantastic.
Does it actually make you approach interviews with authors slightly differently since
Very
doing
much
that as
so.
well? There's a whole new appreciation for the work that's involved.
I've been so lucky because being able to talk to authors like Marion Keyes, I adore Marion Keyes, and she's a brilliant writer, brilliant storyteller, absolutely fantastic. And she said to me, all I would say to you is the second book's really hard, which it was. I've just finished the second book and that was a struggle. She said, but you don't know where the characters are going to take you. And I'm like, how? Because you're writing them. I don't understand that. But she's right, because as you write the characters and you get to know them better, I know you're creating them, but you get to know them better, you know that plan you had from A right to B, very direct, doesn't work. So you have to go all the way. It's really interesting. It's fascinating.
So they evolve within the evolution, don't they?
I mean, if I gave you what I had written initially, you wouldn't be able to lift that book up. It was so much, and then I had to condense it. I think most people who write their first book, they, you know, if they're writing it themselves, they really overwrite. You just can't help yourself. You're throwing everything at it. Then you come to the second book and you can't do it, and you think, I've used up all my material. It's nothing. I don't have anything left to say. Oh gosh, and then you get over that, and it's fine. It's all good. But I'd love to do more. It's been a joy, and I'm very lucky to be given the opportunity to do that. You know, it's good.
We're all sitting here looking at you as a BAFTA winner as well.
Oh, shush. Yeah, that was only for like, hello, you're alive, have a BAFTA. It was for 40 years of turning up.
See, this would have been I'll have to big her up on her behalf for this because it was such a big deal. The entire team behind the scenes were so thrilled.
I love them.
They were and they were all there on the night. A good chunk of them all dressed up. It was an event for not just Lorraine, but actually for everybody, really, wasn't
it? For the whole
it?
team, because you're only as good as your team.
Yes. And Rosie was there too, wasn't she? That
was
night?
very pregnant.
Yes,
very
exactly.
Billy with Billy.
Billy Boo. Honestly, it's the best thing. It really is. It's weird because everybody said to me, when you're a grandmother, you won't realise this depth of love. And it is like the love you have for your kids, but without the fear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you know, because we're all, I mean, I certainly was, when I didn't know what I was doing when Rosie was born. I had no idea what I was doing. I had absolutely no idea. And also when she was born, I got sacked. So, I did. I know. I did. They replaced me. Hey, it's fine. You know,
They brought you back.
They brought me back.
They needed you back.
It was grand in the end, but it was a scary couple of months. So having the time with Billy, you know, obviously and Rosie is a brilliant mum, and her Steve is, my husband's called Steve and her man's Steve. So it's, and we don't want to go Big Steve and Old Steve and Big Steve and Wee Steve. And you know, I don't want to call him Stephen.
Man United Steve.
That's what we do, because Stephen sounds like I'm giving him into trouble. You know, Stephen. That's like, no, so I'm don't do that. But they are absolutely brilliant. You know, they're so good. But for me, I'm loving having that, because I felt as if I didn't really have that when I had Rosie when she was so small, and I didn't have the confidence. Really, I didn't. But as a grandparent, you sort of you're not blundering through as much. You're still blundering through, maybe not quite as much.
I don't mean spoil them as in give them too much. I mean, you always worry, I think, especially when they're really tiny and it's your first baby and somebody's given you this baby to look after, you're worried that you're going to do the wrong thing and set them up for habits for the rest of their life.
Am I doing
that
it
are
right?
going to ruin their lives, that are going to be kind of...
It's that, am I doing it right?
And if I give them a chocolate button, then they're going to turn into sugar fiends and they're going to have eating problems for the rest of their life. And it started with that chocolate button.
I know you do. I'm going to spoil her crazy.
Of course.
You can't spoil them when they're tiny. No, you can't.
You can't spoil them enough, I think.
I give them enough.
Oh no, I still do. Like my little girl's 6 and 4. I'm such a sucker for stupid little things too. You know, even like silly little magazines.
Oh God.
And now it's the algorithms on the thing, isn't it? On the phone. And because you buy that one thing, and then they're like, you might.
Did you know?
And then you can pay just by doing this, boink boink on your phone. You just do 2 wee things on your phone, and then before you know where you are, you jet up to your eyeballs.
Well, I was at wrestling at the weekend because my little boy is obsessed with it, Lorraine, and I was like, wrestling? I mean, I'm not interested in wrestling. I was hoarse.
Was it
after
fantastic?
from screaming. It was fantastic.
You became a
Best night ever.
fangirl posting
I
of
was,
all the-
I was the biggest fangirl and will continue to be. And that's purely because of spoiling my little boy. So you can't help it. It's what it is.
And just reading to them, you know, I've kept all my books and all Rosie's books and just keep doing that. 'Cause that was the best thing my mum ever did for me, was teach me to read when I was about 4. It was, and instill that love of reading.
And she was, because your mum was, the education was very important, wasn't it? You see,
they were so young though. My mum and dad were like, what, just 18?
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah, for years I thought I was this miracle baby because I was born in July. No, sorry, they got married in July. I was born in November. So I would go, hang on a minute, counting in my fingers. And then Mum went, you're a miracle, you're a miracle child, miracle child. I was like, oh, fine. Yeah, right. That was then, that was what happened.
Absolutely, yes, Lorraine,
course,
honestly. I still can't believe she's here, you know.
I know, it's so strange for you to be on there.
I know, because we never get a chance to have a blather and just have a chat.
It's so good to see.
But also to see you being interviewed, because so often you're on the other side of it. So do you enjoy it? Because
I do actually. I didn't before because I would always think, God, what am I going to chirrup on about? But actually, it's lovely.
Yeah.
It's really nice. And we had this thing. The Portrait Artist of the Year.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
God knows why. But the winner, Brogan, painted me, and he came to the studio and he painted me listening, and I loved that. He didn't paint me sort of all kind of, because I use my hands too much, and I'm too extravagant and exuberant. I can't help myself. But he did me listening, and it was lovely. It was really nice. It was a totally different, very still painting, quite serene almost, a little bit stern. But I don't mind that. But it was like, he really got me. It was it was really good. And that's in the blinking portrait gallery in Scotland. I mean, for God's sake, Mary Queen of Scots, Bonnie Prince Charlie, Billy Connolly, and then somehow or another, I've managed to muscle my way in there. It's like, what the hell?
next step is a mural. That's what you need.
Oh my goodness, it's just mad. It's crazy.
No, lots of brilliant stuff. New book on its way. Like I said, this is out definitely now anyway with in the paperback. And then it's more Lorraine's and more Billy.
Geez. Well, we'll just keep going.
Keep going.
While people are watching, we'll just toddle along.
Yes.
And even then,
the most watched morning daytime TV
Lorraine's
programme.
Brilliant, yeah.
Highest viewing figures.
Yeah, we just, you know what to say, we don't bother
fantastic.
anybody, we just get on with it.
Yeah.
We do find a lot of people, funnily enough, now record it, tape it. I was going to say, how old am I?
Oh my God, I still say that.
No, I
My
do.
husband's really
I
like
still
that.
say that.
But a lot of people watch it later on in the afternoon or sometimes early evening. They watch it quite a lot. So
I watch it every single day, when I'm not on it and I'm watching Lorraine. I watch it every single day.
Watching me on Sky Sports News, not at the same time.
Well, I can't flick between
We've got two tellies. We've got two tellies in our house. That's how we do it, isn't it, Christine?
Sport.
Two
Lorraine.
tellies.
We have you on whilst we're in the studio, on air. Oh, we do.
I love it. No, it's great fun and it's the best job in the world. And we'll just keep doing it.
Yeah.
Even if we're just talking to ourselves.
We'll talk to each other.
It'll be funny.
Oh, Lorraine, thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was really fun.
Thank you.
Oh, that's just brilliant.